I'm Korla Masters. I'm one of the pastors at Shepherd of the Lake Lutheran Church in Prior Lake, and I use she and her pronouns. I'm about to read a testimony written in collaboration between a Beacon staff person and Hawa, who's a resident of a Beacon home and has been for a little bit now. Hawa says, "Don't be afraid to take risks. Even if you're afraid, do it anyway." For Hawa, stepping bravely into the unknown has become a fact of life. Maybe this willingness to embrace new situations was nurtured by her mother, who immigrated to the United States with a 7-year-old. Maybe she had to learn it quickly when her father kicked her out of the house when she was a teenager. Or maybe it's her own innate tenacity for life and exploration reflected in her son, Hassan. Wherever it comes from, though, Hawa has learned not to be afraid to embrace change. She says, "When my father kicked me out, I didn't know what to do. One of my close friends told me I had to suck it up and go to shelter because then I could get the resources I needed to make a new start." She was soon living in her own apartment at Beacon's Nicollet Square and completing high school. "I finally had my own place to stay," Hawa beams. "It was a dream come true for me. It meant I could focus on me and not just trying to get by. I had to learn to let go of a lot of pain, though, and to let go of any hate I had. Having a place of my own let me do that, step by step." After becoming pregnant, Hawa was able to move into Beacon's Cedar View apartments. "I wasn't really nervous about the move," she says. "It was a smooth transition, but I was nervous to be a new mother. When Hassan was born," she says, "it felt completely overwhelming at first. It took time. My whole routine changed, from me to me and him, and mostly him." Her on-site advocate through Simpson Housing was a tremendous help in figuring out how to adjust and structure this new chapter of Hawa's life. "She helped me connect with daycare. She helped me learn how to cook better and make my own baby food," Hawa says. "I could just come downstairs and talk when I needed somebody to listen." Her advocate also helped work to connect Hawa with other families in the building. "Once people showed me they were kind," she said, "I really opened up. We are all like sisters now. We've got each other's backs." With 18-month-old Hassan depending on her, Hawa has taken steps to grow in more ways as a person as well. Some days she's more afraid of the challenges than others. "I'm a mom," she says. "I'm a student. I'm working my own job and saving for a car and ready to get my driver's license. And sometimes it's tough to do it all." But then Hassan shows off his new skills of picking up the phone, and Hawa laughs heartily, reminded of how far she's come by taking the risks. "I've been through a lot," she says, "but there were always people around who never gave up on me." For Hawa, knowing the impact that supportive people have had in her life inspires her to be that presence for someone else. And in my tradition, there's a story about a group of 5 friends who were trying to get to see Jesus because one of the friends was sick and wanted healing. And they heard that Jesus was in their hometown, and all 5 of them went together to get the one friend the attention he needed. Except they weren't the only ones who had heard that Jesus was in town. And so there was a huge crowd at the house where Jesus was staying, and they couldn't get through the door to even see him. So what these friends did is they climbed on top of the home where Jesus was staying and speaking and seeing this crowd, and they tore a hole in the roof. And they lowered their friend down through that hole to see Jesus. And I get that maybe a story of people tearing a literal hole in someone's home might be a little bit of a weird setup for a pitch for housing, but there's something really particular about this story and the friends in the story. They knew what they needed. The friend who was sick didn't need to be told what his needs were by folks with degrees or studies. He knew what he needed, and his friends listened to him, and together they made it happen, even when it seemed impossible. Folks facing homelessness in Minnesota know what they need too. Hawa knew what she needed: a home, support, and community, but first and foremost, a home. So when I read her words, "Don't be afraid to take risks, Even if you're afraid, do it anyway. I hear these echoes of a group of friends in Capernaum in the first century who knew what one of them needed, knew how to make it happen, and got the healing, the wholeness, and the encounter with God that they needed, even when they couldn't get it in the usual way.